In a move that I really didn't expect, Vonn Bell has signed with the Cincinnati Bengals. Another move that I actually really like for the Bengals. They've had a really nice free agency thus far, and honestly, I didn't expect it. I didn't think the Bengals would be this aggressive with these kind of low-tier, low-key moves outside of really DJ Reader, but most of them I really like. I think the Bengals have done a good job at improving their football team. Of course, they have the number 1 pick in the draft, and we kind of know who that's going to be right now, but until that actually happens, they're fulfilling and they're really targeting some positions that I feel like they needed to target. They needed to target a young, studly defensive lineman. They've done that. They've added 1 or 2 linebackers to their linebacking core that are not top names. You don't want to spend top money, but lower tier names that might be able to help them out. They've signed a safety now. They've signed some corners. So I believe that the Bengals have done a good job in free agency for the most part. And they still have things to do. They're a long ways away from being a true contender in the NFL. But I do think they've done a lot to help themselves in 2020. And another move is Vonn Bell. 3 years, $18 million contract. Young safety, 25 years old. And this seems to be what the Bengals have really done and have targeted is young players in free agency, not yet in their later 20s, that can contribute to this team for not just the short term, but also maybe even the long term. They've committed money to Waynes, who's still young. They've committed money to Reader, who's still young. They've committed money to Bell, who's still young. And they seem to be moving forward with a lot of key pieces that they've signed in the direction of, okay, Burrow's going to be our quarterback. We need to surround him with the team in the coming years that is young to still build with him, but is ready now to help him win. And I believe they've done a good job of balancing that out. Now, with Vonn Bell, what are you getting in this football player? Well, PFF ranked him as the 47th best safety in the NFL. He had one of the best run defense grades last year and the last couple of years. He's been really, really, really good as a run-stopping safety, as a guy that can come into the box and can make big-time tackles. He can blitz a little bit. He blitzed 31 times last year, 27 the year before. What he doesn't do well is he's not great in man-on-man coverage, and he's not super athletic to the point where he can cover a large space on the field. He's not going to be a rangy safety. He's not going to be a guy that you see running across the field and picking passes off or tipping down balls. He's not that type of safety. He's a strong safety. He's an in-box safety, and he plays a specific role for a defense. And if the Bengals are able to assess that and able to put it on the field, they will have success with Vonn Bell because he's really good at what he's really good at. And you just can't ask him to do what he's not good at, and that's where you can get in trouble. And that's actually where the Saints have gotten in trouble at points with Vonn Bell, when they've asked him to do a little bit too much out of his comfort zone that he's not very good at. So if you don't ask him to be a free safety, if you don't ask him to be a man-on-man cover guy, then you'll be fine. With Bell, I do think, his coverage, it shows he's not excellent there. 44 for 64 in 2018 for completions on targets, 582 yards. That's 13.2 yards per completion and a 118 rating. He did get better in coverage last year. 98.9 rating. He only allowed 2 touchdowns and 425 yards and 12 yards per completion with an interception. So last year he did get better. He played less games. He played 13 compared to full 16 the year before, but his run defense has stayed the same. He's shown that he can progress as a cover safety. So that's good. Maybe he could continue to progress in that department. But even if he doesn't, you're getting a really good player in what he does well. And you're also getting a guy that I think, if you wanted, I'm not sure if the Bengals are going to do this defensively, seeing as how their linebacker position isn't the best, you could possibly put him at linebacker on like third down situations and then have your other 2 safeties, Williams and Bates, there in the secondary, as your two safeties. Now, it's up to what the Bengals want to do schematically, but I think a lot of good defenses in the NFL today, as you'll see across the board, have at least 3 good safeties. And with the Bengals, I like Bates as an athlete. I think he's a good young player. With Williams, I'm not exactly the same. He's had good moments, he's had bad moments, but with Bell now, you have at least 3 guys who are starting caliber, who have started for you or have started for other teams. You have Henderson as well back there. A lot of corners now. William Jackson, who I really like. Drake Kirkpatrick, not sure what they're doing with him, if he's going to maintain being a starter or if they're going to let go of him. It seems like they're going to keep him. Trey Waynes is there, who could play the other side of the field if need be. You have McKenzie, who you also signed from Minnesota. So you're just adding a lot of different secondary players with a lot of different skill sets. And I think Bell is just another piece to this puzzle. And the interesting thing that I actually like of what the Bengals have done is they haven't gone out and spent massive amount of money on a linebacker. I really do feel like if you want to build a good defense in today's NFL, you need to build a secondary and you need to build a pass rush unit. And with the Bengals, they were wisely spending their money on corners, safeties, and defensive linemen. And I really like that approach. So far, they did sign like Josh Bynes, but it didn't break the bank or anything like that. And you can sign those type of linebackers, and depending on your coaching staff, those guys can actually be coached up to a pretty good level. If you do have a stud linebacker who's one of the best in the game, like Bobby Wagner or Luke Kuechly, that's a little bit different. But paying average linebackers big money is a bad move, and the Bengals have avoided that. So I really like this move for a variety of reasons. I don't think it's overly expensive. I do think he's not the greatest in coverage, so you're not going to have like a awesome shutdown tight end type of guy or a awesome free safety type, but he does add an element to your secondary that you previously haven't really had, and he gives you a little bit of versatility and a little bit of toughness to this defensive unit. So Vonn Bell signs with the Cincinnati Bengals. I think he's a good scheme fit as well, and we'll have to see how he plays in Cincinnati.